All right, I was going to cover this tonight on the live. I still am, but I wanted to get a full train of thought on this little topic because the guy's going to be there. There's going to be comments. Come check us out at 7:45 Central Time, 8:45 Eastern Time tonight, Monday night. So I wanted to get a full train of thought, and then we can kind of break it down with the guys and with your comments. But essentially, it revolves around a great interview or conversation between Alan Poupart and David Hyde. Love the both of them. Dave Hyde's a guy I really, really like. And the crux of it was that last year, Tua's contract, we had heard that maybe possibly McDaniel had slighted Greer and gone over his head to Ross. And we thought that maybe there was some kind of conflict going on between the two. But now David Hyde is saying that the money man, the contract guy, Brandon Shaw, is the guy who didn't want to push he didn't want the contract with Tua. He wanted to run on the fifth-year option. And he's also the guy that put the brakes on free agency spending this year. And as I don't like Greer. I want Greer gone. But mostly I said, I don't want to give Tua the contract. I want him to run on the fifth-year option. I said I understood why it was done because everything's been invested into it, and you can get out of him after 2 or 3 years. And I understood it, but I wanted the fifth-year option. And look, I want Greer gone this year. I'm not so sure about McDaniel, and I'm happy that Brandon Shaw did what he did and get into Ross's ear and Ross listening to him, if that's the case, about putting the brakes on the free agency spending, because I'm tired of borrowing from the future to play for today, and the play doesn't really end up being much of anything. Some people get excited about 2 playoff appearances. Okay, but that's with all the picks that we had and the money we spent, that's a loss. But I want to get into understanding is that now you have 3 power brokers again. This is the 3rd time, if this is indeed true. If Brandon Shaw kind of went over Greer's head, which I don't mind, but still in the grand schemes I do, then you got McDaniel and you got Greer, and then you got Brandon Shaw and maybe the Champ that we just brought in and Marvin Allen. It's a lot of guys in the mix, but clearly we have at least 3 known candidates, but we've been here before. Remember Dawn Aponte and Philbin at war with Ireland and Ross saying he liked the corporate structure of separation of powers. And then we did it again with Mike Tannenbaum and Crazy-Eyed Gase and Greer. Then we went down to 2 and supposedly Ross was out of the picture, but he wasn't. So maybe it was still 3. I don't know. But now we're back to what appears to be at least 3 players struggling and vying for power. And it was always the money man, whether it was Money Woman, Dawn Aponte, and Tannenbaum. And then there was the different odds between the coach and the GM, and it just always ends up poor. You can't have it. That's not the tried and true formula for building football success. It's the owner. He obviously is the owner. But then there's one guy, the GM, who is this end-all, be-all, and a good one, listens to everybody, but he's ultimately the guy below the owner, and the owner mostly defers to the GM, and the GM is in full control. That's how we have successful models throughout history of building a team. There's always a little bit of this and that going on, but ultimately one guy is in control, at least until that 3rd phase when it kind of breaks apart, then, kind of gets there. But we need stability. We need football organization. And I like Brandon Shaw. He's done phenomenal stuff with the contracts, not necessarily the ones that were because they signed the player, but what he's done within that, he's been able to move money and set things up in a brilliant way. I like that he said hold back on the money, and I don't like Greer, but if he's supposedly in an important season to win, how can you separate the powers like this? And it's this unknown territory. We still don't just know who's in charge because there's now another player. And it seems like this is Ross's model. And it's his team. He could do whatever he wants. But as he said, the definition of success is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And this inner turmoil, this inner separations of powers, this corporate structure, it hasn't had much success. And it looks like for the third time, we're back into three different voices, which means no one's vision gets fully laid out and fully driven through. And I don't know why. Maybe Greer is not strong enough to maintain that. I certainly know that whatever vision he has, it's not wise enough. But you cannot have too many Indians and not enough Chiefs. You need one Chief, and you can't have two or three. So it does appear that while the things that are being done, I think, are good for our future, we have to be concerned with a new power broker coming up. And we're going into a season with these three guys, which is supposed to be critical. I don't know how it goes forward like this. It's going to be very hard to find somebody who's willing to who has a great vision, who's going to come in here and have to bend the knee on occasion to whether it's the coach going to the owner or it's the money man going to the owner. It's just not a successful way. I don't know if this is true, but there's a lot of smoke. Alf talked about there was issues between Greer and McDaniel. He kind of saw it at the presser last year with Shaq Barrett. There's a lot of stuff brewing, and this is dysfunction. And then we wonder why the players are dysfunctional. So I hope that Brandon Shaw is just kind of creating something that they're going to, as Alf said, and others, they're going to move off Greer, get somebody in here who's going to be in full control. And then Shaw will hand over the full power to whoever this is. And McDaniel won't go up to talk to Ross on the side, go over his GM's head, because that just isn't the way to win. So it's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of he said, she said, but there is a lot of smoke that something in the background is burning. And if it is indeed three power brokers, that is not the best for us, guys. So we'll see how this thing plays out. Who knows, as the Dolphin turns, the old soap opera, as the world turns. But while in the short term, this was great news that somebody told Greer, stop selling the future away. I don't like this third fiddle singing the song or playing the song, because it's just not the path for success for us. But again, hopefully somebody is going to step into this power vacuum with separation of powers and then take total control. Hopefully it's not Ross. Anyway, guys, come check me out tonight on the live with the guys. We're going to have the crew talking about it. I want to talk about it with you guys. Again, there's a lot of unknowns, but something's going on. So let's talk about it, and then we can get back on to the draft and team builds and that stuff. Anyway, Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.